Creole flavor. You know what I mean?
What does it taste like?
I mean, it tastes good. It tastes like a chicken and rice dish.
But it don't taste like jambalaya at all.
No.
Does it taste Creole at all?
No. I don't think so. It's good. It's really good. I'm putting some of that seasoning on it.
So, baby.
Yes, I'm moving. Yes, baby.
So it's a fail.
It's not a fail. It's not a fail. I'm about to be finished with it. It's not a fail. I just added some seasoned pepper to it. It's a little more Creole seasoning.
That doesn't make me feel good at all that you had to add seasoning to it.
No, but it's already.
What's up, you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the unspoken expectations because, as you can see, we haven't heard anything back from Meagan Good or Devon Franklin. You would think that by now, at least over a week, while these rumors have been spreaded around all throughout the net, that they would come forward and say what their real status is, let the people know that this is just rumors, we're happy, we are together, and we are doing fine. But we haven't heard anything from them, but they have been posting. Now, I know a lot of people have been watching their page. They've been reading their comments. They've been trying to figure out what's going on with these two. Are they good? Are they not? But they haven't engaging with each other on social media platforms. On Instagram, the last time they were socially engaged with each other was in August, around Megan's birthday. You can see Devon Franklin posted some pictures of her, wishing her a happy birthday, and Meagan Good reacting to that and also responding as well. Since then, you haven't seen the both of them engaging with each other. Meagan was heavily engaged on her husband's page all the way up until August, and as he was all the way up until August, and now they are kind of just doing their thing. And as you can see, some of the comments were saying, "Find another church gal. Body isn't everything, Meagan. Find some kids, adapt or something. Don't be selfish. Hey, Devon, you'll be a great dad in the future. Are you gonna make Devon a daddy anytime soon? Laugh out loud." And so you see those comments, and then you go over here to one article that also mentions that now nearing 40, she is using her frozen eggs to conceive. When it came to parenthood, the actress needed some convincing while Franklin was always ready. Once Good realized she wouldn't lose herself in a role of a mother, the idea became less daunting. So she had some fears concerning having a child and being secure in her marriage. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I also want to speak on this book that he has called Live Free, Exceed Your Highest Expectations. Now, you remember the post that was put up about him getting advice from Will Smith about to become a better man for his wife. Following that, you see he had a sit-down conversation with Jeezy on the conversations of Will Smith and him reaching out to him for help. Now, I think everyone should go and watch this interview because it's a pretty good interview that can help a lot of people. I'm going to put the link down in the description. But this is an interview talking about the expectations from Christians and expectations from how people see Christians and how they're supposed to portray themselves, and also talks about unspoken expectations as far as people thinking that you're supposed to read their minds and know what they want. I'm going to go ahead and play a few short clips on that, and then I'm going to also tie this into how this relates to Jenny Ma and how her and Meagan had similar feelings behind pregnancy.
Stewart, which was one of my great friends that passed, and we used to always talk about just keeping it solid with yourself. And he used to always tell me, Jeezy, like, no matter what you do, like, just stay who you are. And even now, when I make different,
it's about authenticity. So I'm like, I don't want you to hear me talk about God, and then you see no evidence of God in how I live, right? Like I'm like, no. If you're gonna see me talk about God, then I want you to turn the volume down on everything you see me do and just look, observe. Can you see the evidence of what I'm talking about? because we are in a show me generation, not a tell me generation. In the microwave, nothing, in the refrigerator, nothing. She wasn't cooking. So I started to get mad. I'm like, yo, don't you know, like, you're back. You're supposed to cook. Like, you know, you're my wife. Like, you're supposed to, don't you love me? Why aren't you cooking? Unspoken expectation.
Right.
So then I started to judge her heart and her disposition. I said, well, maybe she don't love me that much. Maybe she doesn't understand what a wife's supposed to do. Here I am. Here's what we do. We have these unspoken expectations. And then we act as if we talk to the person, and then we judge them as if they agreed to it when they never knew to begin with.
Right.
So finally, we got to the point where she said, what's wrong with you? Because my attitude was real salty. And I just blurted out, why aren't you baking the chicken? You know, she looked,
like, what?
what? Right. So then she looked at me and she was like, look, I'll be honest. I could feel the weight of your expectation. And it took the joy out of it for me.
Wow.
When I started cooking, I was just cooking because I loved you. But then it felt like it became an obligation. And then all of a sudden, you started to treat me a little bit differently when I didn't do it. And I just didn't have the joy to do it anymore. I would have asked her, hey, babe, you know, can I expect you to cook? Can we talk about that? You know, like, I love when you cook. It really makes me feel very loved. Can I expect that or not? And how should we sort that out? Because I don't want to expect you to do something that you don't want to do.
Right.
If we had started to have that conversation, it would have made a healthier, you know, dynamic, instead of me just assuming that she was going to do it.
Right.
Now you heard that. A lot of the problems that people have in their marriages and relationships is thinking that a person is supposed to read your mind. And this is something that also Jada Pinkett said in one of her interviews. I'm going to go ahead and share that really quick as well.
Yeah.
You expect your partner to know, especially when it comes to sex.
Right.
It's like, well, if you love me, you should know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you love me,
You should be able to read
you
my
should
mind.
read my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, the same way that he may have felt about that is the same way he may feel about the expectation of having children at the time that he wanted to have children. Now, he speaks so candidly about this right now, but as you can see, there's something going on with these two that's out of the ordinary. And just because we come to an understanding, that doesn't mean that the problem is fixed or that we don't still have resentment behind those things. A lot of times we're able to heal others, but have a hard time healing within ourselves. And I get it. It's an emotional thing, especially if you had the desire to want to start a family and you see people with their children, loving on their children, and you want to do the same thing, especially when you're registering in your mind that it may never happen. Now, Meagan Good could have very well gotten bored in her marriage. I'm just making a speculation. I'm not sure if this is really what's going on, but as you can see, she has been rumored to have dated Soulja Boy, Nick Cannon, Jamie Foxx, Tyrese, Lil Wayne, and these guys are nothing like Devon type. Now, preferences do change, but she recently had an interview with 50 Cent, and she had that interview recently, 5 months ago in May. It says Meagan Good says 50 Cent was the love of her life and calls the game a liar. Now, it also says Vivica Fox as well. You know, 50 Cent did date Vivica Fox as well. But as you can see, this was around the time. This is not a long time ago. This is during her marriage that she's having this interview. And also there was an interview 8 years ago in the beginning of the marriage where Meagan Good talks BET dress drama and 50 Cent. Right here 4 years ago, it says Meagan Good speaks on her and 50 Cent's past relationship. So yes, you can see there's been a lot of talks from Meagan Good about. Now, watching some of these interviews, she's not actually saying the things that is posted on the title, but it does make you wonder why a lot of these married celebrities are talking about their past relationships, because and maybe they're just bringing up the topics, trying to stir the pot, but it just seems a little bit out of character to do so. I just wanted to throw that out there, just to say that there may be some ties that haven't been broken. Now, following the talks with Will Smith and the interview with Jeezy, that led to this book called Live Free, Exceed Your Highest Expectation. Now, let me go ahead and go back here where you see a preview of the chapters, part 1, chapter 4, where it says, unrealistic expectations are future resentments. Now, when I seen this, because I wanted to look at the chapters and see what the names were for what they were saying, and also someone commented on my post and said that the book was kind of reaching toward personal experiences in his life. Now, that made me think about something that he said in this video right here, where he was talking about expectations and also talking about resentments. And it sounds like he was speaking on himself if you look at the body language and you feel the passion towards what he was saying. And that lead me to also believe that he wanted to go ahead and enjoy having a family early on while he was still kicking. And as he got older, his feelings behind that has shifted, and he may be holding a resentment because of that. But he feels like at the age that he's at now, you know, there's a resentment because it's a little too late to try to start something. And this is just speaking from his perspective. Let's go ahead and play this video and listen to what he has to say about that.
I'm talking to somebody right now because you've been so frustrated, you've been angry because you feel like the blessing God promised you has not yet been delivered, and as a result, you believe that he's late, and in the space between when you wanted it to happen and where you are now, you're mad. Come on, can we just have an honest moment? Anybody truly been a little frustrated this week?
He said that the expectation that was not put in place when you wanted it to happen, so you get a little angry, you get a little frustrated about it. And he could very well be talking about the expectation of having children, the expectation of this traditional wife that you want, but these are not the things that you have. And I get it, it's an emotional thing, especially if you had the desire to want to start a family and you see people with their children loving on their children and you want to do the same thing. You have all your ducks in a row, but it's just something missing. And that can be an emotional process to go through, especially when you're registering in your mind that it may never happen. Because right here you see it says, Meagan Good made a decision to freeze her eggs in her marriage in her late 30s after never really being inspired to motherhood. 3 years later, and she and her husband, Devon Franklin, are prepared to welcome a child together in the middle of next year. Now it says, in a candid interview, the 39-year-old shares the hardest part of her journey and speaks on the stigma women receive after expressing whether or not motherhood is for them. Now, if you just look at the words, a lot of them are strong and they speak out, because she said the hardest part. And then right here it says never really being aspired to motherhood. So for one, it shouldn't be something that has to feel hard. Whatever kind of lifestyle Meagan lived, which I don't really know a lot about her, it didn't inspire her to motherhood. A lot of people, they naturally are aspired to motherhood. It's like something that comes second nature to them. There's no fear and no burden behind them becoming a mother, and everyone's different. The unspoken truth about people in her profession is they're afraid to lose a lot of what they built. The assignment, Meagan Good is an actress. So they're afraid to lose the assignment. They're afraid to lose the imagery. They're afraid to gain the weight. So the fearful things that the average woman faces, which is the career status, the financial status, the husband, everything that we need in order to take care of the child and doing it in that particular order, is the things that us average women do fear when it comes to having a child, but not having the means to take care of that child the way that we want to. But right here, we see two people that have been married for 9 years, and they're both financially stable, and they're in a good place, especially being Christians. That usually would give a woman the comfort that she needs to go ahead and produce children if that is something that she wants personally. All of those things would have to align with that to make her feel comfortable in a setting to where she can have children and bring them into this world without nothing to worry about. So right here we see that this is a personal issue versus an issue where you just want to have all of your ducks in a row and then have children. Like I say, everyone doesn't want to have children, and that's okay. But it should be communicated before marriage. If you're an ambitious, career-driven woman, some women are afraid that children will take away from the goals that they work so hard from, and they'll be stuck, and they also have a fear of control over their lives that they have no control over. Being a wife, being a mother is actually a fear in some women's eyes. And so, like I said, we don't know what kind of past she had or kind of examples that was around her, because you got to think about it. This all stems from something that you're trying to get away from. And some people just don't want children. Some people are not good with kids. They don't have that natural ability to just be drawn to being a mother. So some people don't want kids. So, and then I also think about Jeannie Ma and how we also thought she didn't want to have kids. But then now you see her pregnant and having a child.
Church wedding. Love can really change you. And I'm so thankful to be on a show that's really helped me to grow and to evolve and to see myself differently than I would have ever imagined seeing myself. I feel like you all individually always told me too that if I wanted to be a mom, yes. No, I would already.
So is it also that that person that you're with is not giving you the stimulation to have the desire to want to have a child? There's something that's not being spoken. Because you got to realize that this child ties you to this person for the rest of your life. And a lot of people have a fear of knowing that if that's what it's going to be, then I have to make sure I make the right decision.
But before Jeannie could celebrate with her girls on TV, she told them privately backstage, naturally.
Shortly after the pregnancy, she miscarried, but I uploaded a video yesterday for a reason. And the reasoning is that a lot of women that have fertility issues, they hold this information in and somewhat in denial of the reality on whether they can have children or not. And so a lot of times they speak on different things as a factor to why they don't want to have kids. And not saying that this is what Meagan is doing, but you just got to sometimes weigh out all of the options, because as you can see here, and also as you can see in many other women that do want to have children, but have a hard time having children, they don't want to come to that realization, especially if they're with somebody that they love and they want to have a family with them. And so there could be an inner battle going on there that's unspoken. Another factor that I want to point out, not saying this is what is going on, but sometimes, and I know you guys have heard this before, when a woman feels like she is being controlled in her relationship or her marriage, having children with that person wouldn't be their first desire or their first option, because they feel like their partner will use that as confirmation of why their control would be relevant. The same goes with how men feel about commitment, relationships, and titles in marriage. They feel like once that title is given, then the woman expects more expectations out of that man. And so it's evident out here. We see how a lot of this stuff goes, and we see how also when the woman has a career and she decides to be a housewife, have children, and then she wants to return back to her career, the man becomes absent from the home, taking on more assignments, and that forces the woman to have to stay in place. Now, a lot of these people do have money to hire people to help them, but a lot of people are not comfortable with other people outside of the home handling their children. And so it's an unknown fear of being trapped. Right here where it says never really being inspired to motherhood. And then right here where it says the hardest part of her journey, it speaks on the stigma women receive after expressing, almost sounds like she wants to just go ahead and have this baby because she's being pressured to from the stigma. but she's never been aspired, so she doesn't want that. But she's just going to go ahead and do something that she doesn't want to do. And I think that's where the conflict comes in at. Let's go ahead and play this clip from Lonnie Love on The Real, showing what that stigma may be, that stigma and that push that you get from women that continuously ask you, especially if you are married and you don't have a family yet. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Now, Meagan, everybody calls me Auntie Lonnie. When you gonna have some babies for me?
Well, you see, no, I'm gonna take my time. Like, I had 2 monkeys a few years ago, and now I have 2 hairless cats. So I'm kind of like a Never Neverland person.
Okay.
So I'm gonna wait. I'm still like, those.
Because you and Devon will make some pretty babies.
Yes,
so we wait on that.
Okay. In the right time. I'm gonna take my time, but in the right time. All right.
All right.
Definitely want.
So as you can see, that was in 2018 of January, 3 years ago, a little bit over 3 years ago, but right here you can see the comments where it says, I think they have fertility issues. People shouldn't ask about babies because you never know what a person is going through behind closed doors. It says, I always cringe when a married woman is asked publicly, when is she going to have a child? As a young married wife myself, I find it so offensive when people ask my husband and I, when are you going to have kids? I definitely think it can be insensitive asking women, when are they going to have kids? And actually, it's so funny because when I was younger and I didn't have kids and I wasn't even married yet, I kept being asked, when you going to have a baby? When you going to have a baby? I was being pressured to have a baby before I even had a husband in the environment that I was in. Without even having a husband, I was pressured to, I was asked, when you gonna have a baby? And it's so funny because I think back on stuff like that. And then once I had a baby, when you gonna have once I had my baby boy, it's like, when you gonna have a girl? When are you gonna get married? It's kind of like with the female, you do have this clock that's actually ticking, because when you're a woman, you're kind of pressured into doing things at a certain time frame. Realistically, it's annoying, and you do feel pressure, and that pressure do make you do stuff really quick, and then you kind of don't choose you kind of don't choose great, and you make more mistakes because you don't have time to think. You're just trying to put on that image for the world to let them know you got it. I got the children, I got the husband, I got the home, I got the career. You might not have even did it the way you wanted to do it, but it's there. I got it, but I'm not happy. And that's why a lot of people are not happy, because they're trying to do stuff on other people's time. But then I sat back and thought about it. While we're doing things, while we should do things on our own time, we have to still think about genetically and scientifically being a woman and how we're made, the dangers of having a baby past 40. The infertility struggles that you may have trying to have a baby at this age or older. Think about menopause. Think about a lot of things and a lot of changes that go on with our body that conflict with how God made us. And once you go against these laws, then it causes complication for not just you, but the child. And so I had to think about that. It took me a long time to think about that, but it's like, okay, well, yeah, realistically, I should make babies at the age where I'm more fertile, but I'm still going to do it in order and in a way to where I can take care of my children and I have things aligned that's not going to make me struggle in my life. So I get both parts. I didn't get when people said that she was being selfish. At first, when they were saying she was being selfish for waiting to after 40 to have a baby, I didn't understand it. I'm like, that's some strong words. Like, how can you tell a person that they're being selfish? But then I was like, well, wait, having a baby after 40 is kind of dangerous. There's little pros and a lot of cons to that. Not only are you putting yourself and the baby in danger and your body in danger and and there's more complication to it, but two, because God forbids, if you're 40 and you don't have a baby now and you do wait till you're 45 or somewhere in that time frame. You're going to be like 60 once that child graduates. And you may be able to be in that child's life into their 30s. But that's just to say neither here nor there. But I'm getting to the point to where there could be a lot of resentment. It says Meagan Good reveals that it was like what it was like to freeze her eggs. Right here it says she was never really the girl who said, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to be a mother. I was very much a tomboy and started my career so young that I always be very busy or very business oriented. The If Not Now When star and director who wed producer and author Devon Franklin in 2012 took to the first step of her journey to motherhood 3 years ago. So it's kind of like she almost had to be convinced to be all of these things. It's like a woman, it's like us women, we see other women, they have a family, they get married, they have a home, they have the kids, and everything looks beautiful on paper and picture. And we want those things because they look good. But right here, you see, she says she's never really been the girl to be like, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to be a mother. So these things are not satisfying to her. These things she has to convince herself to be. You know, over time, as we get older, our preferences and our perspectives change, and we kind of grow into wanting to be something. We grow into wanting to be settled down. We grow into wanting to be married. We grow into wanting to be a parent. It's not really something we have to be convinced to do, but it's something that just naturally kind of happens over time in life to where, okay, yeah, I feel like I want to do this now. Like I have a strong passion to want to do this. And so right here, you can see where she is on the Drew Barrymore show this year in January. Now, January right here is the same time where she said that she wants to go ahead and start having children. But she said, Meagan Good said she never felt the pressure to have kids from husband Devon Franklin. But that was the unspoken truth from Devon Franklin, that she didn't feel the pressure, but was it there? Was it the unspoken pressure? Let's go ahead and listen to this.
Well, one of the big conversations was obviously children. And, you know, in the beginning, I was like, I think I want to be a mom. And then when we first got married, I was kind of like, wait, do I want to do this? Because I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And then from the moment you get married, everyone's like, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? You're like, I don't know. I just got married. And the great thing is Devon has always been like, okay, like I'll let you have your process and who knows what that process will bring. And for me, it was really like, you know, do I want to do this? And for a minute, I was like, I don't know that I do want to be a parent. And then I'd say in these last 2 years is when I've been like, wait, I actually do want to do this. So I'm excited about that now.
See, once Meagan Good got married, she was introduced to a new lifestyle of home, family living. And over time, that gives a person the passion to want more out of that situation. And so with her, she had to grow into understand what that feels like. So right here it says now she wants a child, even though that's been the talk and the conversation from the beginning, but they wasn't on the same page all the time. He may have wanted children in the beginning because he was already ready. Right here where she said, I was never really that type of person that I was never really that type of girl who said, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to be a mother. But see, Devon probably was that type of person to where he said, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to be a father. He's already at a place where he's desiring these things. And he was at that place when you were not. He was at that place when she was not. But now she's at that place, but then he builds up resentment because she wasn't at the place where he was at in the beginning. And that's where they fall off.
Right now, because you've been so frustrated, you've been angry because you feel like the blessing God promised you has not yet been delivered. And as a result, you believe that he's late. And in the space between when you wanted it to happen and where you are now, you're mad.
You heard that. The space where you wanted it to happen, to where it wanted to happen, the space where he wanted to have the children and build the family in the beginning because he was ready. From the time that now she wants to do it, now is not the time that you wanted to do it, so now you're mad because this could have been done. But who gets to say that? Who gets to say that? Because when we're not coming together in the beginning to talk about goals, talk about, do you want children? How do you feel about marriage? When we're not talking about these things and we're kind of pressed on infatuation, you have to face these problems later on. That's why I watch some of these channels that teach about how a person is supposed to look, the material things they're supposed to have, and all of the things that look fancy on paper. But they never speak about what a person has to bring to the table mentally and what their goals are. They're always talking about preferences. But instead of asking about that, they should be getting more in depth with how they align with each other. And when that's overlooked, everything else fades away. And then the real problems come into play. But are those initial preferences enough? Are they strong enough to withstand everything else that don't align with each other? And those are things that we need to talk about. So I'm going to make another video talking about not only preferences, but preferences that change over time as we age. And the things that we look for and how we can ask for those things in with the people that we love that have flaws, because we all have flaws, but we have to learn how to address those flaws and we have to learn how to deal with those flaws. And in order to do that, we have to ask probing questions and engage with that person to help them with those flaws. That's the only way you will get through that, because other than that, if everything that's wrong with the person is checked off the list, we would be with nobody. Nobody wouldn't be with anybody. Everybody would be single because we'll all be too picky. So I believe that they very well could be having problems in this area when it comes to building a family and having children and the pressure behind that. Part of the reason why they may not be responding to these rumors is because they want y'all to read the book. But there is a big gap from the last time they were engaging on social media. So you just never know. All right, you guys, if you like this video, go ahead and like, comment below what you think about this, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And